When Sandra Samuels separated from her ex, she found her life unraveling. She lost her job and about a year ago found herself without a home.
I never thought that I'd be in this situation, but here I am. And the economy now is really bad.
Samuels is struggling to survive, not only for herself, but also for her 17-year-old daughter, Andrea.
If it was just me, I could handle it a little bit better, but when you have your child with you, you wondering, that am I being a good mother?
Andrea's in her final year at school, but she hasn't told any of her friends that she's staying in a homeless shelter.
To me, it's really hard. I don't really want to talk about it, so I just try to keep it to myself. It's just really difficult for me because I'm so used to having my own room and what I used to have, and always going out whenever I wanted to with my friends, not having to have like a curfew to go back to a place like so early. But I just had to hang in there with my mom.
The women can spend 2 weeks staying in this church hall. It's part of the Interfaith Shelter Network. Pastor James Jerpseth says the congregation borrowed the cubicle dividers from a neighboring church.
We just pop them all together, put it up, get everybody settled in, and very simple. If you're not going to do this, if you're not going to help people who need help, you're just a social club with a T on the roof.
A more permanent shelter for families is going up in Vista to meet the growing need. This construction site is the site of the new North County Shelter for Families. The number of families that need shelter in the winter has been increasing every year.
It's going to be very comfortable, and our families will have a room with a ceiling and a door, as opposed to a cubicle with no ceiling and a curtain. So that will encourage them, help raise their self-esteem, and give them a little bit sense of dignity as they get their lives together.
For the past few years, Russ Blackwood of Operation Hope has run the winter shelter for families in a rented warehouse. That will all change.
And this will be a children's playground. This will be walled in right here with a wall in front, so it will be an enclosed compound for privacy for the women and safety for the children.
Beth, Brainerd, Hallock will help run the shelter when it opens with 46 beds.
Once you come into the gate and you're behind the walls, your children are safe, you know they're in a safe compound, a safe campus, and that less stress allows you to put your focus on taking classes and doing your resume and looking for a job and turning your life around so that your children can feel safe and secure. Because the children, if they're wounded when they're young, they're going to repeat that cycle when they're older, and we need to stop that.
The only trouble is this site won't open until January 1st.
The need for family shelters out here, yes, is huge. We do need more family shelters.
It's going to be a challenge to find places for families to stay until January, says Jennifer Conte, who works for the Community Resource Center in Encinitas. Even in that relatively affluent community, Conte says they get 3 to 5 calls a day from people looking for shelter.
When it gets colder, not only do we get more phone calls, all the other organizations get more phone calls, but the resources, that we don't have enough to give those families. Having Operation Hope, having that not open until January is going to be really hard on a bunch of families this year.
Families can apply for motel vouchers from North County Lifeline to tide them over for up to 28 days. Lifeline does have twice as much money for vouchers this year as last, but already almost 90 families have applied for them, and demand often outstrips supply. Sandra and Andrea Samuels face weeks of moving from shelter to shelter, trying to keep their spirits up till Sandra finds a job.
Of course you worry, but you have to be strong and go on. You're trying to tell your child things are gonna be all right. Your mama gonna get a job. And I'm proud of her because despite us moving from place to place, she's still keeping up her grades, and she still is going to graduate. People don't want to be homeless. Honestly, they don't want to be out here. And I'm speaking for myself, but I know I spoke with a lot of people, and a lot of people that had real good jobs, and they'd been brought down here, so it could happen to anybody.
Allison St. John, KPBS News.